2020 was a shit year for most of us. Opportunities taken away, businesses closed down, families getting bankrupted, and overall a year that nobody would really like to revisit. Except for fucking VTubers, baby!
Let's go!
It's not a secret that 2020 was the year of the VTuber boom, with HoloLive rapidly taking charge of the entire community and industry to a point where the growth was somewhat self-contained. Yes, 2020 was also the year of tragedies for HoloLive, but even still, it is undeniable that this was one of the most critical and decisive time periods for VTubers. Many clips were surfacing, overseas viewers were being dragged down to the rabbit hole, and mainstream eyes were starting to notice the rise of this once obscure industry. For quite some time, nobody really knew how to capitalize on the growing foreign interest, as primarily, VTubers were really only big in Asia. But it was only when one legendary dragon strongly insisted to HoloLive to open up a HoloLive USA branch did the floodgates start to open. It was only when HoloLive English's myth was launched that the world of VTubing changed forever. A fully fledged English-speaking branch was really the only correct answer to capitalize on the growing overseas interest for VTubers. So many Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and Indonesian VTubers, but only a select few of them could actually really speak English. Because of this, overseas viewers often relied on translators for the content to be actually consumable first. But HoloLive was the first to cut off this middleman, and one of the reasons that they led the VTuber boom was exactly because of that. They were the first to address the demand for English-speaking VTubers. Nijisanji tried to also start up an English-speaking branch on their own first, but it was half-assed. While HoloLive was the one that satisfied the English-speaking VTuber demand, they really weren't the first VTubers that the English-speaking market had. Other Western VTubers like Project Melody, Senzawa, and Iron Mouse were already there way before HoloLive English even existed. Yet HoloMyth was able to blitz past these established streamers and even got them to coin themselves the term VTuber, despite, not actually streaming on YouTube. So how did they do it? How did HoloLive and its first English wave change the world? First, let's talk about the external factors. As I've said in the beginning, 2020 was a relatively bleak year for the rest of the world, especially in the anime community, where the amount of good anime that was coming out for that entire year was fewer than the collective brain cells of OK Buddy HoloLive. VTubers, being a branch of anime and all, often stood at the center of the conversations of the anime community, and when the announcement of HoloLive English came out, the community absolutely erupted, with even Crunchyroll, the biggest anime streaming platform in the West, even giving them a push. People all over the internet were really hyped up about HoloLive English, and the lack of discussions regarding any other topic in the anime community was really a huge external factor that got people's eyes into HoloLive in general. I don't mean to say that literally nobody was talking about anime, but what I am saying is that VTubers were a constant topic of discussion in that community. However, this hype wasn't without their doubts. A lot of people weren't excited and were even reluctant in giving the girls a watch. This was so because VTuber fans at the time wanted their VTubers to be, well, Japanese. And the fact that the West's perception of female streamers didn't help at all, mainly due to the fact that there was a generalization over that community that most female streamers weren't exactly entertaining, and that people really only watched them for their looks. VTuber fans didn't want these cringe e-thoughts, as a lot of people like to call them, touching their sacred VTubers. This was especially evident in the case where Pokimane, the at the time queen of Twitch, was bombarded by VTuber fans when people saw that she was hopping on the hype train with her own live 2D model. So suffice to say, a lot of people felt gatekeepy, even if they weren't aware of it or didn't know why they felt uncomfortable with the announcement of HoloLive English. This behavior is often observed when something niche that people like starts expanding and starts garnering widespread and mainstream attention. This is understandable. Change is scary after all, especially in a relatively untouched industry like the VTubing industry, where one decision and one person has the potential to create a ripple effect and change everything for better or for worse. A lot of people feared for the worse, since many people's perception of streaming as a whole were already damaged by these Twitch thoughts as aforementioned. VTubing, being the new hot industry that many women wanted a slice of, was to them in danger of being infected with that very same thing. However, these fears would be quelled, as we'll soon learn further into the video. Meanwhile, in the Asian side of things, especially in Japan and China, there was less of this cynicism and more excitement. The Japanese, being given the reverse Uno card in terms of understanding what the girls say, actually made it more enticing to them. Cross-cultural pollination, as Garth put it, was an especially effective charm in pulling HoloLive's domestic audience into the hype as well. Another external factor that helped Myth is HoloLive's extremely powerful brand and marketing. If you've seen my video talking about how HoloLive dominated the international market, you'd know how the circumstances pushed HoloLive to be as big as they are today, to a point where a VTuber under that company's name would literally get 100,000 subs or more without even posting any content. HoloLive was only gaining traction in early 2020. However, by only the middle of the year, they were already the industry's biggest powerhouse in the international market and community. That was how fast HoloLive was growing, so it only made sense that HoloLive English would get that many eyes and expectations, especially since there was a growing demand for English-speaking VTubers that fit into the general community's perception of what a VTuber should be like. Now, one big factor that I think many people gloss over was the announcement and the girl's design itself. Back before HoloMyth existed, a lot of VTubers already had wild and wacky designs, but HoloMyth's design was phenomenal. But not for the reasons that you'd expect. HoloLive being the first to introduce themes and lore into an entire group is one of the best marketing strategies they ever conducted. Whoever thought of that idea needs a raise. We saw it with Generation 3's Holo Fantasy, and now with HoloLive English's HoloMyth. One would think that Cover Corp introducing a theme for the entire group and them having to play a role would be restrictive, but no. Actually, Cover Corp worked around that issue by making the theme and the roles revolve around the personalities instead. Gura, being the cutesy dumbass that she is, took the form of a lolly shark girl, which suits her a lot. Callie, being the edgy, gruff, and underground kind of girl, took the form of a reaper, which is perfect. Kiara, being the one full of energy, the happy-go-lucky, extremely social, and linguistically intelligent Genki girl taking the form of a phoenix is perfect because it symbolizes the vitality that she has. Ina, being the softest and comfiest woman you'll ever meet in your entire life, taking the form of an eldritch Lovecraftian monster, while also being extremely cute, subverts expectations, and that's why it's amazing. And lastly, Amelia, being the innovator and the heart of the group, taking the form of a time traveler while introducing her to be the one that's investigating these four mythical creatures is fucking genius. It paints Amelia as the main character and the leader of the group, and it's perfect, and that's because her lore and role in the theme sets her up to be as such. Her avatar looks the part, and Amelia herself acts the part. This marketing strategy with their design and theme was so amazing, in fact, that Nijisanji followed suit by giving their English branch their own themes and lore as they launched too, and with relative success. Synchronicity, people. Not just in the theme, but also the personality and dynamics of the group. People already know that character design isn't just about looking good and being unique, but to capture the personality of the talent as well. However, HoloMyth went that extra mile by also fitting their entire designs with the dynamic of the rest of the group. Cover did a 5D chess move with what they did for Myth, and sometimes I go crazy thinking that I'm the only one that recognizes the sheer genius of their character design, whether it was intentional or not. The next factor was first impressions. Their tweets gave a lot of hype for their debut, as already their personalities were already shining through. People got a taste of what they actually were like with their first tweets, and that's important for a VTuber. You need people to know who you really are and what you can bring to the table from your first impressions alone. Ina's tweets tells us she's a fucking nerd and a goofball because only real nerds would understand that Dragon Quest reference. Kiara's tweets tells us she's fucking insane. Kali's tweets tells us she's not quite professional and held together as she wants to be, and is such a potential goldmine for Gap Maui overdoses. Amelia tells us she's a fucking shitposter, and Gura, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to get from Gura. But yes, the point is, first impressions matter, and these tweets serve to calm the reluctant audiences. These tweets told the audiences that hey, these girls might not actually be like those Twitch ethos that they feared would infect the sacred VTuber community. These girls might actually be fun. These girls might actually be the ones they need, and god fucking damn it, they were right. Because the main reason why HoloMyth was so successful is HoloMyth themselves. All the 5 HoloMyth members had their own skills and talents, and they were charismatic and entertaining as fuck. They each fit a niche, appealed to a different community, and overall covering a good portion of the many subcultures and branches of the anime community. Their debuts were massive. Not as massive as what we got now, but it was the largest debut in the world at the time. It sent waves all over the anime community. The VTubing community's biggest memes like Gura's or Watson's concoction started because of this debut. Kylie's debut song hit #1 on Spotify and was for that time the hottest song in the entirety of VTubing, beating every other V-singers. Ina was literally the artist that made up most of the art involved in the HoloLive English campaign, including Kylie's own album art, and Kiara was the one connecting HoloLive English and HoloLive Japan because the language barrier did not exist for her. HoloMyth's success was so fucking massive, it was the reason why the number of indie VTubers spiked, and why non-Japanese VTubing agencies started up like VShojo, and why VTweeters suddenly started plaguing the community. It was the reason why a lot of other streamers like Pokimane and Lilipichu wanted their own live 2Ds, even fucking PewDiePie. HoloMyth's success was the reason why VTubing became mainstream in the international community. It was one of the largest cultural step and influence in the entertainment world ever, and I don't even think many people realize this. Many people can say that HoloLive English's debut was huge, but not many people understand or grasp the scale of how truly huge it was. The numbers were huge, yes, but their true and most important contribution was their cultural influence. It was a fucking Kizuna Ai level kind of huge. It wasn't just an event that changed the VTubing community, it changed the entire world. Cover's HR department, absolute fucking geniuses, I tell you. Cover needs to keep those guys, whoever is in charge of their HR, whoever's making the calls and deciding on the winners of the auditions, they have to stay and be treated with the utmost respect they deserve, because they are the unsung heroes of this story. Because of them, the community got way more than what they expected. And we see that by the fact that HoloMyth is the group with the largest sum of subscribers in the world, the fact that Gura has become an internet icon, and the fact that Amelia Watson, to many people, has taken up Coco's legacy with her ability to create cheese out of thin air, and how she contributed to the wildest and wackiest trends in the VTubing community. HoloLive English wasn't cover striking gold. They struck pure, refined diamond. A find so rare and valuable that Cover or any other agency in the world will not be able to replicate it for a very long time. A lightning in a bottle, per se. Even now, almost 2 years into the industry and nothing remotely as near as what they have accomplished has ever been, well, accomplished. The circumstances of the industry at that time helped Myth and Cover Corp itself to be where it is today. But without the talent and skills of these 5 girls, I think we'd all agree that HoloLive English wouldn't have become a powerhouse of a group that we currently know it as. Without these 5 girls, HoloLive English would not have become one of the most influential waves of VTubers we have ever seen. Hello everyone, thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe and comment down below if you have something to add or if I missed something. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.